We have become what we aren't supposed to. Society has, unfortunately, fallen into an endless loop of misery that I'm afraid of taking part in. Every day, people wake up taking on 40 to 44 hours of weekly labor, and as humans, we also lie within nature, and by that I mean as systematically complex as it is, nature cannot handle the existential script we made for ourselves. The more I existed within those walls, the more I observed how humans behaved as a species lacking empathy and understanding, trading hours and one's vitality for millimetrically detailed printed paper in exchange for what? Survival? And also less than 25% of that for actual life experiences. When I realized that, it all sounded insane. And nowadays, it's even more absurd. We traded for a digitalized representation of the very same thing. The money you are sweating, the furniture you place inside your home, and even your home, isn't yours. Nothing is ours. Nothing ever will be, except the memories, the knowledge, and fortunately the personality built along the way. Such truth is acid, raw, almost toxic, which makes me wonder if swallowing that truth is what makes people less empathetic. I worked at 3 different places at the beginning of my adulthood, and just like any young man, those jobs weren't the best. Actually, one of them was the worst. But I'll get there in a minute. First, I started helping my grandfather along with my father at the old man's motorcycle repainting workshop, surprisingly located inside our garage. My grandfather once was maybe not the first, but surely the best at his work in the whole capital. Somehow, I felt like the job itself wasn't hard, but very physically demanding. They are both old, incredibly strong, and very willingly to provide for our family. I am grateful for having the opportunity to acquire such experience. The next job I went after quitting the workshop in view of getting more financial resources, but my expectations got crushed. I started working as a supermarket cashier, and it was horrible, close to a horror game chapter in my life. The bathroom wasn't different from a sewer. Excrement, cockroach infestations, wandering through gaps and invading our lockers, where all employees placed their food. Ignorant superiors and narcissistic managers. It was it was hell for me. I cleaned trash cans, organized shelves, checked expired products, things I never actually hired to do. Refusing often meant risking your job entirely, so I never refused. I felt like my superiors were trying to bully me. Judging by the way I am, you see, what they do not know is that I am probably autistic and in the process of getting my diagnosis. Fortunately, these negative social interactions didn't affect me nearly as much as dealing with customers. My social energy was always low, even making me avoid friends, family, and my loving bride sometimes. People are unfriendly at work, battling each other in a competition we all created to get on top of social ladders, validation, self-acceptance, and ego. If that is what we describe as human, I don't feel human at all. The last but not least job was at an automotive paint store. My job at this store was to weight the paints according to the customer's orders. So, if someone ordered royal blue or I don't know, white pearl, I had to pour the right amount of each pigment as the formula required. I never needed to interact constantly, talk to different people, and I didn't have any problems with my colleagues. I never utterly disliked my boss because there was true humanity behind the annoyance. But I think I'll disagree to myself in a few minutes. My problem with him was the fact that he never stopped to talk about important subjects. Every time I had to ask for something necessary for my comprehension of the job, terms, politics, or to set common ground for appointments and events, my boss never stopped. He never looked me in the eye. He never paid attention to whatever I had to say, never answered, never gave me clear instructions, never explained. Those moments made me feel like I wasn't someone, but rather something useful. Someone I deeply loved and cared for, whom I considered family, passed away. I received a devastating text, bringing me close to collapse. I pulled myself together and kept working. I pulled myself together and kept working, later asking my boss for a day off because I absolutely had to attend to the funeral. And as always, he never stopped and only told me it will be deducted from the payroll. I don't remember the exact words, but my relationship with a person got despised for not being a direct relative. The only time I get there late without justifying previously, without calling or texting, which he also never answered or even had the will to read. He fired me and told me right there he would text me when to sign the papers. I suppose he also wasn't very fond of me because I stood my ground once he told me off in a rude manner about things he never explained. I acted politely, explaining that I didn't like the unforgiving tone towards someone who had just started. It was very unnecessary to mention firing me over such little mistakes. I was there for close to a month and already knew most pigment codes. N002 for black, N004 for oxide red, 430 for pure white, 432 and 433 for light green and dark green respectively, 491 to 493 for a different aluminium thickness from thin to thick, 420 for oxide yellow, and there is a lot more I memorized, not even mentioning different types of resin, pearl effects, thinners and others. Every job I took, I did my best. Despite not being a singular saint, I am not despicable, so I think I should be treated as human, not the meaning we made it true through a negative perspective and the latest update of the species, but rather the philosophical beauty of human intrinsicity that points to reason and focused emotion, capable of cooperation and of choosing kindness and respect over self-validation, it's way better, way harder, proving how much more value it holds, because this demands the most from the execution of human traits. So, this brings us for a very important question. Are you willing to choose to be or to become something you're not supposed to?